What is going on, guys? It's Panjno here, and today I'm going to bring you guys the ultimate FPS increase guide for PUBG version 1.0. Now, I know I'm a little bit late to this as PUBG 1.0 actually released back in December, but since then we've had a few minor game updates which have changed some things regarding to performance, spawns, weapon spawns, stuff like that, and some other optimizations as well. And also the game acts differently and you can't edit as many options with inside of the INI files as you used to be able to. So over the last month I've been compiling a list of fixes, optimizations, and other things you can do to ensure that you guys are getting the best FPS with inside of the game, getting the least amount of frame stuttering, and the best overall possible performance whilst playing PUBG. The main purpose of this guide is to ensure that you guys are getting the best FPS possible with inside of the game, the best overall performance, whilst keeping the game looking very nice and visually appealing. So inside of it, we're going to be going through absolutely everything to ensure that you guys are getting the best FPS possible, and this is the best PUBG 1.0 FPS guide on YouTube to ensure that you don't have to go anywhere else or follow any other guides, and you get every answer you're looking for with inside of this video. Right, so before we get on with anything else, if you guys are happy with the results from this video, please do like and share this around with any friends, press a like on the video, and subscribe to the channel if you wish to stay up to date with FPS increase packs for new games, other PC performance help tips, things for consoles, just overall PC maintenance. And without further ado, let's get straight on into the guide. Okay, so starting off, what you guys are going to need to do is you're going to need to go down into the description down below and download the PUBG 1.0 FPS increase pack. Once you guys have downloaded that pack, simply put it onto your desktop and the file should look just like this. So now to open this file, you're either going to need a program called WinRAR or 7-zip. Links will be down in the description down below if you wish to go ahead and download and install either of those programs just to unzip this file. They're completely safe to use, it just means that I can compress the file so it's not a big download for you guys. And once you've installed either of those programs, just simply right click on the folder and hit extract here. You'll then notice that a folder comes up on your desktop and you can simply go inside of it. Inside of the folder, you will find the CCleaner setup folder, CPU unpack, game config files, launch options, and a program called timer resolution. We're going to be going through each of these steps, showing you guys how to install them and apply some Windows fixes as well, as alongside game fixes and the best overall visual settings within inside of the game to ensure that you're getting the best performance possible whilst keeping the game looking visually pleasing. Right, so starting off with step 1, we're going to be going into the game config files and we're going to be installing the custom game config files. So once you're inside of the folder, you'll find there's an engine and a game user settings. So to install these, simply go to the bottom right, then type in %appdata %, and then press enter. Then inside of this folder, click on the app data folder found at the top, then go into local, scroll all the way down and you'll find a folder called TSL game. Go inside of there, go into saved. Now once you're inside of the saved folder, we're then going to be going into the crashes folder. Now inside of here, you're going to be finding all of the crash info from every single crash you've had on PUBG, depending on since the game installed. Now for me, until around about a week ago, I hadn't removed any of the crashes inside of here, and the size of this folder was around about 3 gigabytes, which is absolutely insane seeming. This is just crash info. This information does absolutely nothing to you besides take up space on your hard drive, slow down your game data. And what you can simply go ahead and do inside of here is you can remove every single folder within inside of the crashes folder, just to free up some hard drive space and decrease the size of the game itself, as this information is not needed at all. So inside of the crashes folder, highlight every single folder in here. There might be more, there might be less than I have. Highlight them all and simply right click and press delete. Once it's then done, go back to the saved folder at the top, then go into config, then go into Windows No Editor, and inside of here you're going to be finding your game config files. Now just to note, before we install the custom game config files, this will remove any key bindings that you have and it will reset your controls back to default. So make sure that you just simply open up a notepad, maybe boot into PUBG now, take a note of what your mouse sensitivity is and any game key bindings that are not default, as you will have to copy them over once the new game config files are installed. It only takes a couple of seconds, but if you're not too bothered about that and you can just do them on the fly, then we can go and install the custom game config files. But just note again that all of the key bindings will be reset back to default. So once you're inside of this folder, simply go over to the game config files folder, drag over the engine and game user settings to INIs, drag them over and replace the files in this destination. Once that's then done, we can simply exit out of both of those folders and we can then continue on. Moving on from there, we're then going to be going back into the FPS pack provided, going into the launch options.txt, and we're going to be going ahead and going all the way from the right hand side all the way to the beginning, highlighting all of the information inside of there, right clicking and pressing copy. Should look just like that. Then we're going to go down into Steam at the bottom. Once you're inside of Steam, go over to PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, right click on Battlegrounds and go to Properties, go to General, and then hit Set Launch Options. This additional launch options box will then pop up. Simply go ahead to the box inside of here, right click and hit Paste. Should look just like that. If it looks like that, press OK, and then press close. And moving on from there, we're then going to be booting up the game as we're going to be doing our custom in-game visual settings. Now once PUBG is booted and you're at the main menu, go ahead to the bottom right hand side and click on the settings cog. Once you've then clicked on that, go to the settings option found in the middle, go to graphics, and we can start with our in-game video options. Starting off with display settings, we're going to be going to display mode and setting this to full screen. But if you find that your game crashes frequently, go and set this to full screen windowed, as that should help the game not crash as often. Set the in-game resolution to whichever the maximum of your monitor is, as we can change our screen scale later on to a lower value if you're using anything above 1080p or you wish to lower it anyway. So set the resolution to the max possible. FPS camera FOV can be set to anything you wish to do so, but I recommend having it set to the highest. Brightness, again, that is completely personal preference. You can leave that on 50 if you wish to do so, or you can set it to whichever you wish to do so. That is completely personal preference. Go down to the advanced settings tab, go to overall quality and set it to custom. And then we're going to be going down to the screen scale option. Now this is one of the most important options with inside of here for you guys running on low-end systems. If you guys are running on extremely low-end and dated systems, what I recommend doing is changing this value to something lower than 100%. I recommend doing this whilst you're in-game though, so you can simply press apply, see how it looks visually, decide if you're happy with it or not. Bump it up if you wish to do so. If you think you can go to a lower quality option, set that to a lower quality option and find your personal preference within inside of this option. But for the majority of you guys, I recommend leaving this on 100%. But again, if you're experiencing low FPS after this guide, come back to the screen scale option and turn it down until you are comfortable with that. Moving on to anti-aliasing, I'm personally setting this to very low. You guys can set this to low if you wish to do so, but I don't recommend going anywhere over low, as if you set it to medium or high, you'll be losing around about 5% FPS or more depending on how high you go. But for the best FPS possible, go with either very low or low at the maximum. I'm going to be going with very low. Post-processing effects, I'm going to be leaving at very low. If you go to low or any higher than that, you'll be losing around about 10% FPS or more depending on how high you go again. Shadows, I'm going to be setting to very low. And then we're going to be going with textures. Now this is where you have to be real with the machine that you have and how dated the machine might be. I recommend matching this setting with inside of here depending on what your system is like. So if you have a very low end system, go with very low. If you have a low end system, go with low. If you have a medium end system, medium, high, and ultra, of course, vice versa. I'm going to be going with high. Effects, we're going to be going with very low. Foliage, we're going to be going with very low. I recommend leaving view distance at very low as well, and I do not recommend bumping that up at all, no matter what system you're running on, as player models always render in at the same distance no matter which this option is set to. You'll just simply get a nice performance increase, and everything will be rendered at long range anyway. VSync, we're making sure this is turned off, and motion blur is also going to be turned off. Just simply uncheck those options. Press apply. Then we're going to be going up to the gameplay section in the top right. And then starting off with inside of the gameplay option, we're going to be going to the inventory character render, and we're going to be switching this to the off position. Simply scroll down all the way to the bottom, and I recommend turning off both of the replay features found here, which is replay and defcam. Set them both to disable. Now, of course, if you use these and you rely on these and you would rather have them on and take the FPS hit, by all means leave these on. But if you want the best FPS possible, no matter what machine you're running on, you don't want any stuttering or anything taking away from the actual gameplay experience, then I'd recommend turning both of these off. Again, I'm running on a pretty high-end system here, and I'm going to be turning both of these off as well. And once those options are then set, simply go ahead and press the apply button, close, and then we can then exit out of PUBG. Now moving on from there, I need you guys to go ahead and go down into the description of this video again and find the Visual C++ link. Inside of here, this will link you to the latest version of the Microsoft Visual C++ coding attributes, which will help the game run at a much more optimized rate. This has helped many people on medium to low end systems, even high end systems as well, just increase their overall frame rate and increase frame stability, making sure that you're not getting any stuttering. So what we're going to do is go down to the Visual Studio 2017 part here, click on the x86.exe, and it will then download. Once it's then downloaded, open it up. You'll then have the option to install it here in the bottom left. If you don't have it installed, or if you have an older version installed, it will say repair. So whether it says install or repair, click on that. It'll then notify you that the setup was successful and ask you to restart your PC. We're not going to be doing this yet, as we're going to be restarting our PCs after everything is done and installed. So simply hit close for now. And then also do it for the x64 version. And then simply hit close again. Moving on from there, we're then going to be applying some fixes to the PUBG.exe itself. Simply go into Steam, go to PUBG, right click on PUBG, go to Properties, go to the Local Files tab found here at the top, go into Browse Local Files, then go into the TSL Game folder, then go into Binaries, Win64, and inside of here, go to the TSL Game.exe found here, right click on it, go to Properties, Compatibility, and check the Override High DPI Scaling Behavior Scaling Performed By. Make sure it's then set to application with inside of there, and you guys can experiment with this feature down here as well, which is disable full screen optimizations. I've had mixed results depending on PCs. My low end system prefers this being on, my higher end system prefers it being off. Depending on whether or not you're using a high end system or a low end system, turn this on or off, but seeming I'm applying these fixes to my high end system, I'm going to be leaving it off. Once it's then set, press apply and press OK, and then you can then exit out of the game files. Now moving on from here, we're going to be applying some operating system specific optimizations, which will help increase your FPS with inside of PUBG and pretty much any game that you play. But before before doing this to ensure that we are on the safe side and you guys can happily revert back these settings if you don't wish to have them anymore, or if you end up following this tutorial wrong or anything goes wrong in the unlikely case that it does, we're actually going to be enabling a Windows restore point at this point just to ensure to be safe in case anything goes wrong or you're not happy with any of the options. You can simply revert back Windows to how it was before following this guide with a simple click of a button. That should help put your guys' minds at ease. Any of you who might be a little bit skeptical about this, you can go ahead, try it. If you don't like it, you can revert it back if you wish to do so, but for the majority of you, you should be happy with the results this gives you. So to start off and creating our system restore point, go into the bottom left hand side and type restore. Then go to the create a restore point panel found here, then select your local disk C drive and then hit configure. Inside of it, turn on system protection at the top. Then I recommend setting the max usage to around about 3% and then press apply and OK. Once that's then been set, go to the create a restore point tab found here and press create. You can then call this restore point anything you wish to do so. I'm going to call it backup and then hit create. Once it's done finished, it will say the restore point was successfully created. Press close and then press OK. Once it's all set and out of the way, we can then simply go on with the Windows optimization. So go into the bottom left hand side and type in run. Press enter. Then inside of this box that comes up, type in regedit. Then press enter again. And inside of here, we're going to be going into the H key local machine folder, double clicking, going down to the software folder, scrolling all the way down until we see a folder called Microsoft, double click on that folder. Then once we're inside of that folder, we're then going to be scrolling down all the way to the W section and going into the folder called Windows NT. Then going into the current version folder, then scrolling down again until you see a folder within inside of there called Multimedia. Then go to the system profile folder by double clicking. And then once you're inside of the system profile folder, we're then going to be going to the right hand side. You should see a default option within inside of here and maybe a network throttling option inside of here. We're then going to be right clicking and pressing new DWORD 32-bit value. And we're going to be calling this value system responsiveness. Again, you guys can go down into the description down below and copy and paste this if you wish to do so. Make sure there aren't any spelling mistakes or anything, and then press enter. Double click on system responsiveness and set the value data base to hexadecimal and set the value data to around about 6 zeros, then press OK. And then once you've done creating that, go into the tasks folder on the left hand side, then go into games, and then within inside of this folder, then going to be changing some values. Go to the priority value, double clicking, and set the priority value to 6, and press OK. Go to GPU priority, double click, and set this value to 8, and press OK once again. Then go to the scheduling category key, double click, and then we're going to be setting this to high with a capital H, and pressing OK. You can then simply exit out of Registry Editor, and that part of the guide is complete. Following on from that, we're then going to be going down into the bottom left again and typing in this PC, right clicking on this PC and going to properties. Then once the system folder then pops up, go to the advanced system settings here on the left hand side. Go to the advanced tab found within inside of this subsection, go to performance and press settings. Inside of here, go to the visual effects tab and select custom. Then within inside of here, we're going to be unchecking pretty much every single option inside of here besides show thumbnails instead of icons and smooth edges of screen fonts. I personally like to have smooth edges of screen fonts off, but that's completely personal preference as it will make your text look really rough. Some people have asked me how to do that and that's how you do it. That's how my text looks now. Again, that option there is completely personal preference and it doesn't really have an effect on FPS. Once that's then set, press apply, then go to the advanced tab found here at the top, set processor scheduling for programs, and then go to the virtual memory tab and hit change. Then inside of here, we're going to be unselecting the option at the top if it's selected, which is automatically manage paging file size for all drives. Uncheck that. Now, if your drives have paging files set, make sure that you click on all of the drives, select no paging file, and then press the set button. The only file we want to have a page file is either your C drive, which is your main disk. You preferably want to be putting this on an SSD. So if you guys have an SSD installed in your system, make sure that you set this to go onto your SSD, whether that be your C drive, D drive, or whatever key it might be. Make sure that you take a note of that. But if you guys aren't sure of what drive to put this on, or if you have multiple hard drives, I'm going to explain that to you now. So we're going to be setting one system managed page file within inside of the system. Ideally, depending on how your system is set up, you want to be putting the system managed page file either on an SSD, or if you have a hard drive spare which you don't have your games installed to, or if you have multiple hard drives installed, you don't want to have the paging file set on the same hard drive in which your games are set on. But ideally, again, you want to put this on an SSD no matter what. But if you guys only have one hard drive installed, you can set the one hard drive to system manage as well. But going off of that criteria, I'm going to be setting it to my SSD, which is actually my C drive. So select the C drive or whichever drive you want to install the system managed page file to. Click it once, then go to system manage size and hit set. Then press OK. It will then notify you to restart your PC so the changes can take effect. That's absolutely fine. We're going to be restarting our PCs later anyway. Then press apply and OK. Then make sure that you select the restart later option, and then you can then close out of this PC. Moving on from there, we're then going to be going into our Windows sound options to ensure that they are running at the most optimized rate. So go down to the bottom right click on your speakers and go to the playback devices tab. Then when inside of here, go to the speakers in which you are using. Now after you apply these fixes, your sound on Google Chrome might go silent and you might not be able to hear this video. That's absolutely fine. Just go and exit out of Google Chrome. If it does do that, open it back up and come back to the video and everything will be fine. You might just need to relaunch the application. So to do this, go to where your speakers are, the ones in which you're using to hear this video and play your games. Right click on them and go to properties. Go to the enhancements section and make sure that you disable all sound effects within inside of there. Press apply. Then go to the advanced tab within inside of here. Go to the formatting and make sure it's selected at 16-bit 44,100 Hz, so 44100 Hz, CD quality. This won't make your sound bad, it just means that it removes any excess Windows post-processing, which can actually take away from the overall framework inside of Windows because it's actually processing your audio and applying load to your CPU. As we do not want this and we want to be getting the best FPS possible, make sure that is then set to that value. Once you've then set it to that value, press apply and then press OK. Moving on from there, we're then going to be adjusting our Windows power options to ensure that it has access to the full potential of our PC. To do this, go into the bottom left hand side and type in power. Then click on any of the power plan options inside of here. You're just looking for the little battery with the cord icons. Click on any of them. Then go to the power options found here at the top. Then go to the show additional power plans option found here. And then select the high performance power plan wherever it is. Select it, then hit change plan settings. You can set either of these options to anything you wish to do so, that's completely personal preference, but what we're interested in doing is going to our change advanced power settings found here at the bottom. Click on that, go into the hard disk option, go into turn off hard disk after, then within inside of this setting you're then going to want to double click and set the minutes to 0, and then press apply. Scroll all the way down to processor power management, minimum processor state and maximum processor state, and ensure that they are both set to 100% as well. If they're not, double click on the value, set it to 100, then simply press apply and OK. You then hit save changes and exit out the power options. Now moving on from there, we're then going to be going back into the FPS pack provided once more, going into the CPU unpack folder within inside of here, and then double clicking on the CPU core parking setup, simply press next, then agree to the terms and press next again, then next and install. Once it's then finished installing, make sure that is then selected to launch CPU parking 3.exe and hit finish. The program should then boot up. And once the program has then booted up, make sure that you go to your system power plan and set that to the power plan in which you're using, which now should be high performance. But the options within inside of here in which we're interested in actually tinkering with is the core parking index and frequency scaling index. You want to make sure that both of these sliders are set to 100%. If they're not, make sure that you grab hold of it, set it all the way to 100% for both of them. And what this basically does is it allows Windows to have 100% access to the cores no matter what state they're in whilst you're playing games. This should take away from any frame stuttering you're having and also overall increase the overall FPS you're experiencing within inside of games as well. So once they're both then set to 100%, press apply. Changes successfully applied. It might take a little while depending on your system, and then you can then simply exit out of the program and you're then done with that. Then moving on from there, we're then going to be decluttering Windows itself. So to do this, go into the bottom left hand side and then type in %appdata %, and then press enter. Then what you want to go ahead and do is go to the app data folder found here at the top. Then go into local, scroll all the way down until you see a folder called TEMP. Then within inside of this folder, then going to be highlighting every file and folder within inside of here, all the way from the top to the bottom. There might be more or less depending on how long you've had Windows installed for and whether or not you've cleared this folder out before. If you haven't, that's absolutely fine. Right click once you've got it all highlighted and press delete. If you then get any prompts that says this action cannot be completed, that's absolutely fine. Hit do this for all current items and then hit skip. It might also ask you for that again. That's absolutely fine. Hit do this for all current items and skip. Then within inside of here, you will find that there are only a few files and folders remaining. Now the files and folders within inside of this folder and which are still here are the only ones that Windows was actually using. Everything else might have been an excess caching file, temporary file, or just excess Windows dump file, which could have been sat on your system for ages depending on how long you've had Windows installed for. This should remove quite a chunk of clutter from your hard drive. I've heard people in the comments tell me around about 60 plus gigabytes, I think was the most I've ever seen. So if you guys have actually caught how much you removed from this file, let me know down in that comment section below. I ask this on every single one of my videos, and it's always fascinating to hear what the results are, as this folder can be huge sometimes. And then whilst we're still decluttering our systems, go ahead and go into the FPS increase pack again, and go to the CCleaner setup, but go into the CC setup. Then within inside of here, we're then going to uncheck Avast Free Antivirus, as we do not want that installed, and then press install. Once it's then done, simply hit the Run CCleaner button found here. And then once CCleaner opens, you'll be greeted with this screen here. So what we're going to be doing to use this program is going to the cleaner option found here at the top left. I then like to go to applications and I like to uncheck everything for Google Chrome, as that's the web browser I use and I like to have all of my information saved on Google Chrome. But if you don't mind, you can keep this default if you wish to do so. And then once that's done, simply hit the Analyze button. And then once the analysis is complete, it will give you an overall rundown of how much can be removed. So once the analysis is then complete, go to the bottom right hand side and hit run cleaner and press continue. Then once that is then finished, it will say the cleaning is complete, give you an overall rundown of what was removed and where from, and then we're done using CCleaner. Now before closing out of CCleaner, I'd like to go down to the options found here in the bottom left, go to the monitoring tab, and then unchecking enable system monitoring and active monitoring, and we want to make sure that this is then turned off, just to ensure that CCleaner isn't running in the background, as we do not want it running in the background scanning things whilst we're playing games, because that will cause slowdown. So to ensure that we're getting the most out of CCleaner for our usage, which is gaming performance, we're then going to be turning both of those options off. Then once you're then done inside of there, you can then exit out of CCleaner. Now moving on to one of the last steps within inside of this video, and that is going to be updating your GPU drivers. Now most programs out there won't automatically do this for you, and it shocks me how many people don't stay up to date with their graphics card drivers, as this can be one of the main causes of low FPS stuttering, or just overall performance issues, because most people are actually running on an outdated GPU driver. And this can fix and solve any FPS issues alone, and also increase your FPS by quite a drastic amount. So to do this, go down into the description down below and click on the corresponding link depending on which GPU you have, whether that be an NVIDIA one or an AMD Radeon one. Once you've then clicked on one of the links for you NVIDIA guys, go to the automatic driver updates tab found here at the top, hit download on the GeForce Experience, follow the wizard, install it to your PC, and it will go ahead and do everything for you. Just follow along with it. For you AMD Radeon users, it's a very similar process. Go to the website in the description down below, scroll down until you find the automatically detect and install your driver application, download it, again follow the wizard, install it to your PC, and it will go ahead and do everything for you. Then once you guys have actually gone ahead and installed the latest GPU driver, again make sure you check around about once every month. Then moving on from there, for you NVIDIA guys, we can actually go ahead and tinker around with our GPU settings to ensure you're getting the best overall FPS possible. Right click on your desktop, go to the NVIDIA control panel, then within inside of the NVIDIA control panel, go to the adjust image settings with preview tab found here in the top left, and then select the middle option, which is use advanced 3D image settings, then press apply. Then within inside of here, go to the manage 3D settings found here in the top left. Again, go to global settings, and I want you guys to go ahead and make sure that you copy all of my settings within inside of here as closely as you can. Then once you guys have copied those settings, make sure that you go into the bottom right hand side and press the apply button, and then we can then exit out of the NVIDIA control panel. And now we're pretty much at the end of the video. The only thing necessary for you guys to go ahead and do now is actually restarting your systems, coming back to this video, and we can continue on with the last step, which is actually using the time resolution program to ensure that we're getting the most out of PUBG when we boot it. So make sure you guys go ahead, restart your systems now, come back to the video, and then we can then continue on. And now once we've restarted our systems, we can actually go into the PUBG FPS pack provided one last time and get the time resolution application within inside of here and drag that onto our desktop. Now what time resolution is, it's a very useful program I use for pretty much all games out there. I boot into time resolution, I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But what it does is it essentially reduces the latency between the operating system, the game application, and the hardware within inside of your system to ensure that it's getting updates at the fastest rate possible. This pretty much reduces any frame stuttering and can also increase FPS, not just within inside of PUBG, but pretty much every game you play. So to use this program, what you want to go ahead and do is simply double click on it, go to the maximum button and press that. That'll give you the lowest time resolution within inside of Windows possible. Then what you want to do is simply minimize the program. Boot up into your game, play your game for however long you want to play it for. Once you're then done playing, you're back on the desktop, open up the program again within inside of your taskbar, hit default, and then exit out. It's as simple as that, but seeing we're about to play PUBG, we're going to be going into time resolution, hitting the maximum button, minimizing it, and then going into Steam. Then all there is left to do inside of Steam is then go ahead and press the play button. And there you guys have it, the long-awaited PUBG 1.0 Ultimate FPS Increase Guide is finally there. You've then applied all of the fixes. Please make sure that you leave any results down in the comment section below if you're still using the FPS counter. Please also feel free to go ahead and like and share this video around with any friends, family, squad mates, or anyone you might be playing PUBG with that you know can benefit from the increases. This works for anyone on a low-end system, medium-end system, pretty much any system out there. If you're playing PUBG, this will definitely help you. No matter what sort of budget you're on or how much you're willing to spend, we're not looking at things that are costing money within inside of this channel. We're basically trying to get you guys the most out of the systems in which you've paid for. So again, a like on the video if you guys did appreciate it. Comment down in the comment section down below with any suggestions, any feedback, anything like that, or any questions or queries. Also subscribe to the channel and press that bell notification, as that will be deeply appreciated if you guys want to stay up to date with content. And check out those videos down in the description down below, as they can help you guys out a lot, especially with furthering your FPS, not just within PUBG, but pretty much every game out there. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. I have been Panjno, and I am out.